Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Almost every baseball insider thinks there's going to be baseball in some form or another this year, even if it doesn't start until August. Yet they are all against the way things are happening right now in the negotiating rooms. The only thing they must think is that Commissioner Rob Manfred is going to invoke the bad for baseball clause. To the best of my knowledge, that's only been invoked a couple of times, including the Black Sox scandal in 1919 and when the commissioner stopped Charlie Finley from selling off many of his Oakland A's players. I know why baseball is our national pastime. It's because it is way past time that there's an agreement to play ball. Bud Shaw is here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air.
Presque Isle down.
From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th, soon-to-be 25th season, seen exclusively here on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is with us. We're going to talk over the comings and goings in sports. Hello, Bud. How are you?
Good, Les.
Already an 8.0.
Yeah, that was the opening comment.
I didn't know we graded those.
I got a little confused. I'm not supposed to grade those?
No, you're supposed to grade the quickies at the end.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, let me take a minute here to thank Dave Bacon, who filled in for me last night, and Ken Carmen did a terrific job, I'm told. My first sick day, Bud, in 50 years. Do I get a medal, a watch? What do I get for that?
I don't know, but that's a pretty impressive streak. That's Cal Ripken-like, basically.
216-575-0403. You can email me, email us during the show at real Les Levine at gmail.com. Bud Shaw's with us. Bud, another week goes by and not another agreement to play baseball.
Yeah, I'm reading the same thing you are and hearing, this sort of optimism that we know there's going to be baseball. Nobody is saying that's going to be it for the season, which I guess is promising. But I know a couple of Indians fans that I've talked to lately, Les, and they weren't happy to begin with the refund policy for their tickets, and they all had complaints about that. Can you imagine if there was no baseball this season? What a bad taste that would leave in the mouths of.
I don't know how you come back from that.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I mean, to me, it sounds as if they're offering the same amount of money now. It's just a matter of how they're going to agree that it get dispersed, whether some of it's going to be, I understand that only 50% of it is guaranteed. The rest is contingent on playoffs.
You know what? You know something? We don't care.
No one wants to hear the particulars. Yeah, nobody wants to hear.
Nobody wants to hear that. All right, we're going to talk a little football, then we'll get back to baseball a little bit later. Without doing any research in it, if I just throw out the name Mitchell Trubisky, what do you think of the year he had last year, along with his first 3 years in the league? What anything hit you there?
Well, I wasn't in favor of drafting him coming out of college. I know that was the year where there was a division. I'm laughing at myself. I'm saying that was the year there was a division in the Browns headquarters about who to pick.
Right.
It's one of the many years there's been a division in the Browns headquarters about who to pick. I didn't think that from an accuracy standpoint, from his college resume, that he warranted, a top 5 pick, and I was certainly in favor of the Browns not drafting him that year.
Right. Well,
go ahead.
The image is that he really hasn't played well, but when you dig into the numbers, it's not too bad. He's got one more year in the league than Baker Mayfield, and if you look at what Trubisky has done in his first 3 years, I wonder if you'd be happy with him if Baker Mayfield had the same numbers. You look at this Trubisky after 3 years now in a quarterback competition with Nick Foles, and year 3 is critical for Baker Mayfield if you consider what's happened to Trubisky. So in 2017, Trubisky comes out 4-8, 59% completions, 2193 in yards and 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The head coach of that team was John Fox. And then they move on to Matt Nagy, and Trubisky has an 11-3 record, 67% passing completions, and he had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. That's not a bad. Those numbers look pretty good, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. Yeah.
Well, they don't look good after last year. 8-7, 63% completions, 38 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And so they bring in Nick Foles. I have a friend in Chicago who's a football guy, and he never liked Trubisky right from the beginning. And following it from Cleveland, it seemed that he wasn't doing that badly. But now the point is, if you back it up against what Baker Mayfield has done in his 2 years, in 2018 he had a 6-7 record as he came in that New York Jets game, and he had 63.8% completions. And his head coach in that year was Hugh Jackson and Greg Williams. Then he goes to 2019 with a 6-10 record, 59% completions, 22 touchdowns and 21 interceptions under Freddie Kitchens. Those are terrible numbers. I think you'd all agree.
Yeah, I guess two things. You know, I don't know if it's safe to trust the eye test. You know, too many bad picks have been made in drafts, probably because GMs did just that. But I looked at Baker Mayfield his rookie year, and I thought I saw a guy who saw the field better than Trubisky, who had more presence in the pocket than Trubisky, who was mobile when he needed to be. His idea of mobility isn't to run, it's to buy himself more time in the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. I thought he had just a more impressive rookie year, and I'm a little surprised by those. I forgot how good his Trubisky's team was in the second season in the NFL. So it is a real interesting comparison, but I guess if I had to right now, if you redrafted with both those guys in the class, I would think, and maybe I'm wrong, that most NFL talent evaluators would take Mayfield over Trubisky.
Yeah, I agree with that. But when you think about what is happening, it's almost like Baker Mayfield should take note of what's going on with Mitchell Trubisky, because you don't get a guaranteed 4 or 5 years anymore. You better put up in the first 3 years, or you're on the way out the door.
Yeah, that's true. I think everybody felt like Trubisky had a better offensive coach his second and third year than he did his first year, whether that was a fair assessment or not. And I think in Baker's case, I think we see that we believe at least that he was held back somewhat by Freddie Kitchens. And
Hugh Jackson before that.
Yeah, and we're projecting now like that because Stefanski's got a good reputation offensively, that Baker will benefit from that. The one comparison that probably wouldn't be fair, or at least in favor of Mayfield, is that Mayfield has had better offensive talent around him than Trubisky has, I believe.
That's a good point. So you agree, though, that the clock ticks on these guys faster than it used to?
Absolutely.
And also Stefanski, he owes nothing to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has to produce, or Stefanski can say, "Look, I didn't pick him. My coaches didn't pick him."
Right. And the GM who selected him isn't there. Now the owner may be the one that says, "Wait a second, we invested a #1 overall pick in this guy. Let's let this play out." I mean, it is his final decision. But I think if he has another season similar to last year, if he's not the accurate quarterback we thought he was his rookie year, if with that talent around him and innovative offensive coaching, he doesn't have a good season, then I think it's the clock is going to start ticking really loud on him.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/moresports and less Levine, with new content posted every day. It's real easy. We put up a question, you check it out, you respond to it, we read it on the air that night. Can't get easier than that. More Sports and Less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com, powered by the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Let's check out birthdays for today, June 9th, 2020. Frank McCormick, born in this date, 1911. Alexis Dealer was born in 1947. Dave Parker, the great outfielder. And Wayman Tisdale out of Indiana. And Peja Stojakovic, as well as Josh Cribbs, celebrating birthdays today. Hey, Josh, don't hold the ball out like that. Somebody's going to knock it out of your hands. Actually, Bud, I don't think it matters at this point of his career.
No, probably not. But boy, what fun was he to watch?
Terrific.
Yeah, he was really, really a terrific player.
And you know what? The Browns, in the years that he's now not there anymore, I can't recall any threat that the Browns had that would have caused a problem for a defensive coach.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I can't think that.
Oh yeah, an offensive player who would have kept some.
Yeah, an offensive player with a return game that defensive special teams coach had to come up with something.
Yeah, absolutely true. Hey, until recently, there wasn't very many offensive players either that kept people awake at night.
Well, there is one now. Pro Football Focus, Ben Lindsay ranked the running backs on elusiveness. And first of all, you got to decide what elusiveness means, and that means probably staying out of the way. It shows how well a player eludes would-be tacklers that comes in different forms. As some players run off defenders, others prefer to avoid contact altogether. But the end goal seems to be the same: don't get tackled. So he's got a list of guys that he checked out, and they're pretty close. But this comes from Ben Lindsay, Pro Football Focus. He's got the most elusive running backs: Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs of the Raiders, Derrick Henry of the Titans, Alvin Kamara of the Saints, and Dalvin Cook of Minnesota. And the elusiveness comes to here. It says Chubb has been the best rusher in the NFL since being drafted in the second round by the Browns in 2018. He joins Derrick Henry as just one of 2 running backs averaging over 4 yards after contact per attempt on 100 or more carries. You won't find any negatives on Chubb's resume in the broken tackle department either. No matter which way you cut it, bringing this man to the ground is not an easy task. Now, but you see the most broken tackles, they're all pretty close. Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones of Green Bay at 32. Derrick Henry, Philip Lindsay, and Alvin Kamara at 29. So it's pretty well bunched together. But used to be get hit and then fall forward. Now it's get hit and get extra yards.
Yeah, this is a real reimagining of the word elusive in my mind. I grew up thinking elusive runners were, Gale Sayers, O.J. Simpson,
Sure.
Guys that could, Barry Sanders, to me was an elusive running back. This is a different way to look at it, certainly, because you wouldn't put Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb in any of those prior category, but certainly yards after first contact is really impressive, and Chubb, I think that's why when when I've said I was glad that the Browns didn't take a running back like Saquon Barkley in top 5 that year, or with their first pick that year, it was because I thought you could get a guy like Chubb who wouldn't be much of a downgrade. It turns out I'm not sure he's been a downgrade at all.
No, not at all. I'll throw in Gale Sayers' name by that. To me, that's the ultimate elusive running back, in addition to Barry Sanders. But again, is it bad tackling or good elusiveness?
Yeah, I mean, we never. The funny thing is, Les, when we grew up watching these guys, or were young watching these guys, like Sayers, and we never really. I never came away from games. Maybe I just didn't evaluate them the same way, but I never came away from games saying nobody in the league can tackle anymore. I was just so impressed with these guys and what they could do to defenders who thought that they had a shot at them. So sometimes I think now that we have all these stats on tackles and who misses the most tackles and all that, I think we kind of sometimes or we don't appreciate the skills of running backs sometimes that make and wide receivers who make these guys miss so often.
Yeah, these guys, they know the stats, they know what these analytic guys are looking for. I wonder if they play towards the stat sheet.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, listen, that year that Joe Schobert supposedly led the league in missed tackles, or was at the top of the league in missed tackles, I didn't come away from games thinking that he had a terrible season. To me, he was in position. It's like the shortstop who doesn't have any range, right? He misses out on a lot of errors because of it.
Because it's a ground ball single to the left.
Yeah, he can't even get to those balls. So I sometimes think that it's what you want to make of it with some of the stats.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us tomorrow night. It'll be Dennis Maniloff. And Thursday night, Mary Kay Cabot will join us. East, west, and south, that's where the locations are from Northeast Factory Direct. West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard, as well as Freeway Drive in Macedonia. And they've got the guaranteed low price of the year each and every day. Find it cheaper somewhere else, they'll refund the money immediately at Northeast Factory Direct. We'll come back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate NatureStone's 30-year anniversary with a free NatureStone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making NatureStone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. How come Donora, Pennsylvania is the birthplace of one Hall of Famer who had a few hits? Look at that amount. 36 30 base hits, and another had 630 home runs. We're talking about Sam Musial as well as Ken Griffey Jr. But I'm assuming when you first started, or maybe I'm not sure of the time frame here, but you started hearing out of Donora, Pennsylvania, you started hearing about Ken Griffey Jr. There's had to be unbelievable words of the talent spreading throughout that state.
Yeah, I mean, I went to college in Western Pennsylvania in Indiana, PA. Met a girl there in college whose grandmother was born in Donora, so I've been actually been to Donora.
Wow.
But it's incredible when you see it to think that those two talents came out of that one little. I think it was a coal mining town back in the day.
Not far from
like most of those were, yeah.
216-575-0403. If you want to get in with Bud Shaw, you're more than welcome to do that. But I don't think it's any secret that the least amount of money and the least amount of draft picks, as well as maybe picking free agency, the position for the Browns of the least amount of all that would be the linebacker position. Didn't look like they went out of their way to do anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is part of their way of evaluating what makes good defenses tick in 2020 or 2019, and I don't think that they value that position group as much as we used to.
Right, and
when we saw it.
And the Browns are spending about $7.5 million on linebackers this season. League average is up there a little bit. Only one linebacker on this roster has more than that many years of experience in the NFL. That's Goodson, and the average age under 24 years, 23.9 years old, which is not very much. But one analyst, Greg Rosenthal of NFL.com, says that Mack Wilson is the key. He calls it a homegrown player, and what he means is somebody drafted by the team and how good they are at this point. Easy to pick out a top 5 draft pick, but this is going down further a little bit. And there you see what the thought is. It's a 5th round pick a year ago. Mack Wilson played like a veteran from the jump. Now the Browns are counting on him to anchor a linebacker group after departures of Christian Kirksey and Joe Schobert. Wilson is part of a league-wide trend among analytically driven teams to use scant resources on off-the-ball linebackers. The position is like an updated version of, well, you can find a running back anywhere theory, which works up until the position becomes a liability. In Wilson, the Browns may have stumbled upon a fiery, versatile cog who starts all 4 years of his rookie deal. I think I agree with that they, like you said, you talk about, well, you can find a running back when you're talking about before. You're right. Most of them think, don't worry, we'll find one, but that's not always the case.
No, and we remember fairly recent seasons where opponents' tight ends just ran free against the linebacker core that the Browns were putting out on the field. Now, I understand in obvious passing situations, you pull some of those linebackers off and you replace them with nickel backs and all that. But certainly those other offenses found a way to take advantage of the fact that the Browns did not have a lot of good coverage linebackers back in those seasons, and they weren't. That wasn't very long ago. We're not talking about some prehistoric season. This was 4 or 5 years ago. That was the case.
And I also think that the Browns are trying to work it around the other way, where they've added some they've added some tight ends, and it looks like they're trying to do exactly what you said other teams have been doing.
Sure.
So anyway,
yeah, I think. I've run into a couple people recently, Les, that just in the last few days that they haven't asked me about baseball. They've asked me about the Browns, and I know that's a recurring theme in this town. But it's almost as if some fans, I think, have written off what is going to be left of this baseball season now, and maybe they don't see it as a valid number of games that will be played in a best case scenario. But certainly they've got their sights set. Still a possibility of having a 16-game, legitimate NFL season. Whether we will or not, who knows?
No, but there's no indication that there won't be.
Right.
At this point. All right, so Mack Wilson in the 2019 season played 944 snaps, 82 tackles, 1 sack, 1 fumble forced, and 1 interception. Not all that impressive statistic-wise for a guy that's supposed to be the best on the field at that position, but we'll see how that works out. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us, and Mike Masetta from Nature Stone will join us shortly. Tri-C is a place you can go, and of course, as you know, Tri-C is, you can find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs, so go to tri-c.edu for more information. Bud and I return in a moment. More sports and less Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
This date in sports history, we mentioned Donora, Pennsylvania earlier. This date in 2008, Ken Griffey Jr. becomes the 6th player to hit 600 home runs on his way to 630. He had the most, but I think he had among the most natural swing that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same, Les. Yeah, it was just him swinging back. You know, that with very many guys. I did not, for instance, feel the same way when I saw Lonnie Chisholm.
And there's a name I didn't think we'd hear on the show.
And I think we're frozen.
In a long time. Bud Shaw's with us, so is Mike Masetta from Nature Stone. Mike is, unlike the rest of us, Bud, has actually seen action here in as far as baseball is concerned. He coached over the weekend. His son in a national tournament? Mike, are you there?
Fun local tournament. There was teams from Nardonia and Aurora, and Highland Heights was represented, and about 3 or 4 other teams. There's maybe 7 or 8 in the tournament total. But it was a nice local tournament. But it was great all the families were out. They were rooting for their kids. Everybody was practicing the social distancing to the extent possible. And, it was nice to see the kids tipping the cap to each other after the games. No shaking hands and things like that. But other than that, it was all baseball, and it was just a lot of fun to be at the ballpark.
I think it's a good excuse. A kid strikes out on a bad pitch. He misses it by 3 feet. He can just say it's just practicing social distancing.
Well, no, I tell you, the umpires are umpiring behind the pitchers now. They're not allowed behind home plate right now.
Yeah.
So when there's a man on first base and he steals second, the umpire is by himself in most cases. He has to see the pitch, and he has to turn around and see if the guy's safe at second. So there were a lot of, he's safe at second, but I don't know if it was a strike or a ball.
Are any of these umpires reaching for the ball as it's coming past the pitcher?
Yeah, you were seeing a little bit of that. It was, it was interesting. It was that was a little bit different, but it was they muddled through it as best they could, and they did a really, really nice job. I give a lot of credit to the umpires. It was hot out there.
To Mike and to Bud, think about this. What ages are we talking about here, Mike?
Well, my son's 12U now.
Okay.
So he's yeah.
So how do you explain it to the kids? How do you say anything to your son Russell, and Bud to maybe the neighborhood kids? What the strike is all about and why it's taking away from the most beautiful game in the history of beautiful games?
Well, I'll answer first. I mean, I told him that, in my opinion, and I can't say this for a fact, but at this point in time, I don't believe that it's as much about the coronavirus as it is about an argument between the owners and the players over how much money the players want to make. And I that's kind of what I said. He asked me a few questions, about it, and I said, I don't know all the aspects of it. I don't know, what, all the union, issues and things like that. And I don't think that you're old enough to get into all that stuff. But you just know that you've got really, really rich owners and really, really rich players, and one doesn't want to pay the other one as much as the other one thinks that they're worth, and the other one wants more than what the owners think that they're worth. And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, Bud, does that summarize it pretty good?
Yeah, I think I understand where Mike's coming from. I think originally, Les, I felt more empathetic toward players a few months ago because, to me, we didn't understand, and we still don't to some extent, but we certainly didn't understand what the coronavirus would entail just from a health standpoint. And they seem to be the ones that would be taking the risk by coming back together and playing, by maybe being quarantined in hotels between games, those kinds of things. It feels to me, as Mike just said, it feels to me to be less about that right now as we reopen some aspects of our society. And it seems a lot like the other squabbles that have happened between these two sides to be mostly about money and about a players' union that is afraid to give up something this year for fear that when negotiations on a new deal begin, that they'll have set some precedent by doing that.
Can't some wise people come in and say, just get a deal here for the short-sighted amount of games you're going to play for the 2020 season? Let's just play it and then go negotiate yourself up or down in the off season. Is that the way it should be, or am I dreaming?
From a business standpoint, it certainly seems odd that they haven't come to some agreement and get the game.
Yeah, I don't know.
As I understand it, they would have had to play this season. Had the coronavirus not hit, they would have played the season out and then negotiated the contract for next year.
Right.
It's the way I'm understanding. And because of the coronavirus, it opened the door for the union to say, okay, now that we're shut down, we're not coming back until we negotiate or renegotiate the current contract and put something in place for 2021 and beyond, but also for this year.
Bud, you wanted to say something to Mike in response to Mike?
Yeah, you broke up on me, Les, so I didn't hear all of what you were saying. I just got done reading Paul Hoynes, our buddy Paul Hoynes wrote something for cleveland.com. And he was just a little, as he can be, as you know, beside himself a little to think that when these guys sat down in March, they didn't account for, they didn't negotiate the possibility that they might have to play without fans in the seats. And that became a bit of a stumbling block in this thing, and I think delayed the negotiations, with the owners contending that, if there were going to be no fans, that they would seek, further concessions, and the players saying, well, wait a second, you didn't say that when we sat down and talked. So it's frustrating from a fan standpoint that these guys, I don't think have bargained as clearly and concisely as they could have been since March. If they had, we probably would be back to having baseball right now.
Mike, push comes to shove here. Is there some kind of baseball season this year, 2020?
I think so. I think that I don't think it'll go much past July 4th. I'm hoping that by the end of the month here they announce something. But yeah, I think they'll have baseball. I think that they're smart enough to know that if they don't have baseball, it's going to destroy the sport. Football looks like they're moving forward full steam ahead, and they're already becoming, if not already, the nation's pastime. They've taken that mantle away from baseball. If baseball doesn't have a season and football moves forward in the normal course, oh man, it's going to be really difficult to get those fans back.
Yeah. But how about you? Push comes to shove. Is there some sort of baseball season?
Yeah, I think there will be less, and that'll be left up to fans and media, whether they want to hang a big asterisk on it because it was only a 48 or 50 game season. I just think that we need to lower our standard of assessment right now and just be happy if it comes back, that we, from an entertainment standpoint, that we play a season, and somebody will win, and we can all decide for ourselves whether they were a legitimate champion or not.
I think Frank Home Run Baker could win the home run title with 12 or 13.
Yeah, there's going to be some.
You're going to have guys hitting 574. Ted Williams won't like it one bit.
Yeah, that's true. There's going to be some squirrely looking stats that come out of a shortened season, but it's all worth it in my mind if they can get back on the field.
There will be no 20-game losers in the pitching department this year. The Indians had a 22-game winning streak not that long ago. If they do it again, that should be enough to clinch a pennant.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. All right, Mike, anything you want to add to the festivities here, other than let's play ball?
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's play ball. I mean, the kids figured it out. They're out there making it happen. Let's get the pros out there, and let's bring some normalcy and some enjoyment back to sports fans. It's time.
All right, let me just say one thing to you in response to that. Ready? It's not just the floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
You do it better than I do, Les. It's not just the floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Mike Musetta from Nature Stone. Thank you. 216-575-0403 is the number to call, east, west, and south. That's where you're going to find Northeast Factory Direct or the website, northeastfactorydirect.com. Keep checking out the website of Sokolowski's University Inn. When they're ready to make an announcement, you'll hear it or see it there first. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn, almost 100 years in business in that same location, established back in 1923. But Shaw and I return in a moment thanks to Mike Musetta, Nature Stone. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. And every Nature Stone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot, plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history, 2017. Unlike Donora, Pennsylvania, where it's hard to decide who is a better hitter, Stan Musial with 2630 hits and Ken Griffey Jr. with 640 home runs. South Euclid historians did not have that same debate. Dan Mesteller had a total of 47 hits and Steve Stone 22 in the big leagues. But did you Did you ever play ball with a guy who played in the majors?
Yeah, I think I may have bored people with the story a couple of times, but when I was playing high school baseball and American Legion baseball in the summers, we played against Lenny Barker's team.
Right, but did you ever play with somebody? The only reason I ask is when
play with somebody, you mean, or against somebody?
Yeah, but when you and I, for example, would stand behind the batting cage at Progressive Field, the ball has a different sound from those guys. Now, Steve Stone was a pitcher, so whatever he got, he got.
Sure.
But there's just a different sound. I remember I forget what it's called. I should know it. Out on Lost Nation Road by the old airport, big indoor soccer facility. Can't think of it right now. But and batting cages, and I'm in the other room or other part of the facility, and I hear something that just sounded different than anything I'd ever heard before in a baseball game or practice. And I walked over to where the batting cage was, and there's Sean Casey taking batting practice. This was in November or December. And the sound just had a different thing than anything you or I had ever heard.
Yeah, the only thing I can equate it to is playing golf a few times. I played in a media day out in San Diego years and years ago where Craig Stadler played a couple holes with each group. And the same thing, we all looked at each other on the tee box after he made his first swing, like, what was that? Like, where did that sound come from? Because none of us had ever heard it from our own swings, you know? So it is amazing the contact that these guys make and the way they drive the ball, whether it's baseball or golf.
You and I have had the good fortune to be able to play out at Sandridge a couple of times, and they tell us about Mickelson when he was there. There's one hole that you can go across the water. Well, you and I can't, but Mickelson can. And
number 6, Sandridge, if people know the course.
Yeah, we would have to go way out to the right and then come back and maybe around the green in 3. And he's hitting his drive off the green, and that came from more than one person telling us that. And you just wonder where that swing comes from, that you can, first of all, that you can have the desire or the ability to go and try to hit that in competition, because if you don't get it over that water, you're line 3 already. And it's amazing.
Those guys are amazing. The same people who I know who have been around and played a few holes with John Daly feel the same way. He's got this swing that no golf teacher would ever actually teach. It's so
the Charles
long.
Barkley swing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Except for the difference in driving distance of about 300 yards between him and Barkley.
And we talked about this earlier. MLB owners' latest offer is more of the same, or it seems to be. I don't know who even knows what these mean. This is why negotiations shouldn't get out to the public. The suggestion out there now by the owners is 82 games at a sliding scale, 33% salary, but I can honestly tell you I have no idea what that means. 50 games at a prorated pay of 33%. Oh, I know what 33% means. And or 76 games at 75% prorated pay and a 33% salary. That's why they have these negotiations out in the open, and the fans take one side or the other, and they don't even really know what side they're taking.
Yeah, I mean, this is this one is especially hard to understand just because we're not even talking about full seasons here, and we all know what what the current situation is. Like, I think in some ways, Les, the owners want to get this thing going, keep it short, so that the playoffs are completed by the time flu season comes around again. Now, whether they're rightly or wrongly equating coronavirus to the regular flu, they certainly don't want to have the best time of the year for them, which is the playoffs, stopped by another spike. Yeah. So I can see why they want to get it done quickly. I could also see why the players want, to some extent, to protect themselves financially if they're going to be taking a risk and playing.
You agree or disagree, or don't care one way or the other, or don't have an actual thought on it, on what's going on with the NBA and the fact they didn't just take 16 teams and let them play out a playoff? They're adding teams. I think this is all about Zion Williamson, just to get him a chance to get some national games on TV. Am I thinking the conspiracy thing here?
I guess I get where they're going with this plan, but just again, I'm not waving the pom-poms for the Cavs. I'm just looking at a young team that was getting better as the season went on. And now it could go almost 9 months without, real high level competition in an NBA arena. And I don't think that that's fair. And I know none of this is fair, what's happened, and it's out of everyone's control. And I know they're just doing their best to get some semblance of a season back together and a playoff, a legitimate playoff format. But for the Cavs standpoint, I think it's a really tough break not to be able to get back on the court and keep developing these young guys.
I'm pretty sure that down the list of where these things fall, like, for example, trying to be fair to the Cavaliers, there's no way in the world they're thinking about being fair to the Cavaliers, Chicago, and some teams like that. I think Golden State's a different story, but I don't think they could care less about what the 20th and 24th teams, what they're going through. I can't believe that they care. Nor should they.
Yeah, and I guess you could if you wanted to take the other side of it, and I think you asked the Facebook question last week, and most people were like, no, we don't need to see any more of these teams that didn't figure into the playoffs. Let's just get going with an NBA season. So I don't know that the NBA took a survey of their fan base to see who approved of what plan and who didn't. I doubt that they did. But you could make the argument on the other side that those teams had a chance to figure into the playoff picture and to do so.
All right. Speaking of owners and players, the MLB owners and players seem to be heading in opposite directions. If you were Rob Manfred, what would your solution be? Ted Moon says, if I were Mr. Manfred, I'd ask the owners to agree to the agreement they made in March. If they couldn't do it, they shouldn't have agreed. We all knew something like this was a possibility. Andy Mees says, have the owners honor the agreement to give the players their salaries that they agreed upon and give back to them in March when this pandemic first happened. The owners should be able to take the financial hit this year. If it could be a lot to gain long term if they're the first major pro sport to come back from the pandemic, as all eyes would be on them in a positive sense. Dan Gillespie says, if Major League Baseball players don't want to play for the millions of dollars owners are offering, then ask the minor league players to play. They would jump at the opportunity. I root for the uniform as players come and go. Most of that couldn't care less about the fans. They just want to get the money. And it would be great if you see the up-and-coming players to see who the next superstar might be. Danny Harrison says, players and owners are like two rats fighting over more cheese than either could need. Time to reset and rebuild the game to level the playing field and let the rats burn it down. Wow. Glenn Berger, how about this one? Permit the Indians to once again use Chief Wahoo as the mascot. Rob Manfred forced the Dolans to retire Chief Wahoo.
Well, that would solve
all the That will solve any problem the game has. All right, we're going to come back. I don't know if there's some quickies, but if there are, you get to grade them. And if not, we'll just continue to chat. More Sports and Less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic NatureStone garage floor. And every NatureStone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray-brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
All right, the D-man Dennis Maniloff will be with us. Wednesday it'll be Mary Kay Cabot. I'll put my team and its bench strength up against any show anywhere that we have here on More Sports and Less Levine. You see us live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Then, of course, you can archive it any time of the day or night and go back in the calendar and pick out any show that you'd like to see. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Eastside Eddie writes, he says, I believe Mayfield's issues were scheme-related. When you look at what he had in success in 2018, which was play fake and short drop passes, they didn't do nearly as much of that in 2019. He was given deep drop back passes and just didn't have the line that would protect for that long. If they get back to his strengths, they could do as well as 10-6 or 11-5. Bud, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't have the numbers to show whether that is true, but certainly that was my take on watching the season from the press box. Was the timing patterns that seemed to benefit him in his rookie year didn't seem to be there as often last year. I just remember him coming into that Jets game and everything being crisp, and the ball was getting out of his hand, and guys were running proper routes. Whereas it seemed to me that last year they were looking downfield because of the Odell Beckham factor. They had him. They wanted him to make the kind of acrobatic plays that we know he can make, and I think they fell in love with that notion.
All right, Bud, we're getting down to the end of the How Come Quickie exhibits here today, and Mr. Gullible is now pulling out stuff from somewhere. He's trying to sell. He knows that I'm going to take one of these quickies and not use it, and he's trying to sell me on it before that it's okay because of something I did 27 years ago. Should that hold up in court?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's a statute of limitations on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, here's what he's doing, and I'll get to it in a minute. Before I even reject his claim here, he's saying, well, in 1993, you accepted such and such, and he gives me the quickie from 1993. Why he would still have that on his record is beyond me. But he's trying to sell it. You judge when we get to it, because now he's going to say this about this Big Ed submission. Big Ed says, "How come during this pandemic I went to the doctor and he said, turn your head but don't cough." You know what? I'm going to take that back, Mr. Gullible. I should have thrown this away before I ever looked at it. You agree, Bud? Oh, you don't want any part of it. Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't mind that one. I'm not, I'm not wowed by it, but I'm going to go 5.0.
You don't mind it because this is not
Yeah.
more sports than Bud Shaw.
Exactly. That's the exact reason. Go ahead.
All right, now we can go to the totally Mrs. Beaver's tweet. How come quickie? Just a good old nice solid quickie. This is from Bob in Fairview Park. How come there are 5 Great Lakes, but only one of them is Superior?
Okay, that one sounds a little familiar to me. I'm not saying that he's recycling anything,
Right.
but I'll go 7.0.
All right, that could be a winner tonight. We got 2 for Mr. Gullible. I'm only using one of them. How come the man sued the airline for his lost luggage, but he lost his case? See, I knew a guy who went to the airport the way they used to accept bags, and the guy says, I got 3 bags here. I want one going to Denver, one to Detroit, and one to Duluth. And the guy behind the counter says, we can't do that. He says, well, you did last week. Okay. All right.
All right. I'm going 7.0 on that one, Les.
Yeah. Okay. I can't even say what
Okay.
I can't even say. I can't even tell you why I'm rejecting Mr. Gullible unless I read it, and I can't bring myself to read it.
Well, I think you're a pretty good judge of these things.
And then he says, remember, you were the one who made fun of a certain football card back in 1973. Well, yeah, times have changed. Times have changed.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, Mr. Gullible, I can't
we have to be a little more.
Speaking of time for change, let's get serious for a moment. You got Roger Goodell, who did what he did, kind of walked it back with the stance before on the flag and taking a knee. And then, of course, Drew Brees. I'm not sure where that came from because it's hard to argue if you're trying to defend the flag because of your family members who fought in wars. But your thought on this entire, there's so many things to pull out of this thing. What comes to mind for you?
Well, to me, I never held it against Colin Kaepernick that he took a knee. To me, it was a peaceful gesture to bring light to something that he felt was disrespecting the country and the flag more than taking a knee, which was social injustice. So I've always thought that Kaepernick made his point. You could argue maybe he could have done it a different way. I don't know. He certainly brought attention to an issue that he felt very strongly about. I found it interesting, and probably it's because of the legal ramifications of blackballing a player, if that's what you want to call what happened to Kaepernick. But Goodell didn't want to mention Kaepernick by name when he did his video. He clearly didn't want to. He wanted to apologize without admitting that they hurt this guy's livelihood by the stance that owners took against him afterwards.
Would it be fair to say that?
So that's how.
Would it be fair to say that I think we know where Jerry Jones stands? You got to believe that out of the 32 owners, there's got to be several amount of them who are not in favor of what Goodell did.
Yeah, I would think so. And listen, the guy who's the owner here has taken a lot of grief for a lot of things, and rightly, because of the way he's run the organization and kept changing horses in midstream. But certainly, Jimmy Haslam's record of being open-minded in hiring and interviewing and putting organizations together with the hires he's made, I think speak very well for him and D. Haslam both.
Not even speaks very well. I think he's the leader of the pack in that NFL for those kinds of hiring. I can't think of any more.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't know if people who felt really strongly about the kneeling and felt that it was inappropriate still feel the same way after watching, what happened with George Floyd and the response to it. If they still feel that strongly, I'd like to hear from them, because I think what's going to happen in the fall, Les, is when these guys get back to playing football again, I think we're going to see more of it.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be done in a peaceful way, and maybe the reaction will be different this time, and maybe it won't. We'll have to see that one play out.
Great job by Bud Shaw as always. Bud, we'll see you next Tuesday night.
Great, Les.
Okay,
Take care.
Talk to you. All right, that'll do it for us for tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll have the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Mary Kay Cabot comes here on Thursday. We'll see you then. Of all the shows I've ever done, this is the most recent.